All right, everyone. It is time for some. We finally got it. The Dwarfen Arcane Journal for the Dwarves have come out, and it finally happened. I think we're actually going to get some really good close combat dwarves. And I'm going to go into the entire Arcane Journal. I want to briefly talk about that. It looks like we're finally getting some good old fashioned close combat dwarves, which I love playing dwarves close combat. So when I saw this particular royal clan, which we'll get into, I was just super excited that I'm going to be trying this out with the Arcane Journal here. So what do I mean here? So we have a new sort of army, custom army, basically called the Dwarfen Mountain Holds Royal Clan. And for this, you're going to get one thing. You're going to get a new unit called the Royal Clan Warriors. But you're going to get some special rules here, which I really think are cool. But let's just talk about the core. So the core, there's obviously some limitations here. So one, in this core, you've got Longbeards are now basically core now, and you've got Royal Clan Warriors and Quarrelers. So one, you're limiting a lot more of the things, but I think that's fine. We're going to get into Royal Clan Warriors are super solid, and the Longbeards are part of core anyway, basically. So and then you also get a King and an Anvil of Doom. But for the special you get hammers and dwarf carts, and for the dwarven carts, we're going to get, you can't pick the mining cart. So we're going to get into the dwarf cart already. And then for rare, they've actually just given you rangers, iron breakers, and iron drakes. So one thing I love about this army list composition is this is actually the way I like playing dwarves. Now you don't get gyrocopters in here, and that is a disadvantage. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think this is going to be the most competitive list. Like, this is basically, I'm not a tournament player. This is just, I love that they've created this rule and this sort of sub army list, which is probably, you can go and read into the other ones. It may be the weakest of them, but I think it's still super fun to play. That it's a lot more hand to hand centric, a lot more close combat centric. So let's get into, so it does provide you some limitations, but you get these Royal Clan Warriors, which we're going to talk about, are pretty solid. And I love that they're actually giving like this buff to just regular clan warriors. I think that's super cool. You do get some slight buffs for the battle standard bearer, but nothing that just jumps out to you as amazing. About anyway, you can get that. So what do you get for running this? One, you get the Ancestral Fury, which is so cool that if a dwarf clan charges more than 3 inches, you actually get +1 to your strength on the charge. Now that is super cool. Again, I love that these guys are running as a close combat centric dwarf army and just getting that +1 strength on the charge. That actually means that although your clan warriors can get great weapons and they have an availability of great weapons, they actually can just run with hand weapons. And not only that, your longbeards as well, you can actually just run these guys. I mean, you can have hammers, which are going to be running up here and at strength 7. So actually, you got a pretty cool thing here that you get this +1 strength on the charge for dwarves. Then you've got this riches and heirlooms. So this basically allows you to spend 25 additional points on runes. So yeah, I think that's just sort of a free 25 runes. That's basically, you can purchase those additional standard runes, and yeah, that's pretty cool. It's not a big deal. The big thing is the Ancestral Fury, and then finally, the other thing I think is really good is you're getting pick a single character, and it's basically all friendly models gain hatred. So this is actually really powerful against the dragon meta. This actually could make hand-to-hand dwarves do decently if you're going to have some big, high elf or dark elf or vampire master running on this big dragon. You can now give hatred. So actually, and I want to be clear, I don't think that the royal clans are going to be the best of the Arcane Journal armies, but what I'm so super excited about is that this is the way I like to play dwarves. I like to play them infantry centric. I don't like to play very shooty dwarves. I don't like to rely on war machines. And I love that this army list is going to fit my playstyle perfectly. So yeah, I just really like this as well. I love the Ancestral Fury, the +1 strength on the charge. And you're going to actually get some charges off with these dwarves. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to have this dwarf cart, which is going to help with that. So as you can see in special units, you're going to get hammerers and dwarf carts. So you can see the special, and the other thing is that in rare, they've moved rangers to rare, but really to me, I think, I play very Iron Drakes and Iron Breakers, and I think that 25% is just enough to sort of get some Iron Drakes and some Iron Breakers as well. So super cool. I think the Hatred, picking a unit, that's going to actually help some. Again, there's a lot of really cool things happening with this army here. So let's get into some of the specific units. Let's talk about the Royal Clan Warriors. So one, these are 10 points more model. So remember, regular Dwarf Warriors are 8 points, but you're just about always either going to get them a shield or a great weapon that bring them up to 9 points. So what they are, these guys are just automatically coming with shields. So that right there sort of makes me want to just immediately play them with the shields. You're already paying for the shield. You can get this Grommel Great Weapon, and this Grommel Great Weapon actually is an extra AP. So it's giving you AP -3, which is okay. I actually just like these Dwarf Royal Clan Warriors just running with hand weapons, because look in their special rules. One, they get Grommel Armor. So Grommel Armor, that is rerolling ones. And remember, with a great weapon, that's, you want to always be able to get your armor save. So that 4-up armor save is going to be better with that Grommel Armor. And they're getting Grommel weapons. So now all their weapons automatically come with that +1 AP on their weapons. So they do have this really interesting Grommel Great Axe, but I don't think it's that good. Like, I know for myself, I'm just going to be running these Royal Clan Warriors with just their hand weapons. Remember, and now they get that +1 to strength on the charge. So when they charge, they're at that +1 strength. But the big thing as well is that, again, you're basically paying 1 point more to get, than Warriors to get the Grommel Armor and Grommel weapons. And I think that's super worth it. So really like these Dwarf Clan Warriors. Again, the Grommel Great Axe is interesting, but I think with the Hammerers, I think that I just like them without the Grommel Great Axe and just running these with hand weapon and shields. Super good. That's a 4-up armor save, and you get to reroll 1. So the Dwarf Clan Warriors, I think, and I love that now their basic warriors are getting buffed. In the regular Dwarf army, there was really never a reason to take Dwarf Warriors over, handgunners or over quarrelers. So I really like that they've actually made their the basic Dwarf Warrior. I love that they've actually buffed it through this army list. So I really love these Dwarf Clan Warriors. I love that they've basically made the basic Dwarf Warrior viable. If there's one little tweak I would make, I would love if actually they didn't come with shield stock, and you actually could just either choose to buy the Grommel Great Weapons or the shields. That's a minor tweak. Like I said, for me, I think that you would always run these guys with hand weapon and shields, especially with the +1 strength on the charge here. So that's the first part of it. Let's talk about the other part of it. So they're still slow, right? And that's right. But they've introduced a new unit called Dwarf Carts. And that's on the right. So we're not going to get into all the gyrocopter stuff, because remember, I'm going to be talking about the Royal Clan. And in Royal Clan, you can't bring gyrocopters. So I'm not going to worry about gyrocopters right now. With the Dwarf Carts, you get them in 2 variations. One, you get the Bugman's Cart and the Miner's Cart. So I'm not going to talk about the Miner's Cart because, again, I'm talking about this particular army list. And in this one, you can't run the Miner's Cart. So for Bugman's Cart, any dwarf unit that is not fleeing, that's within 6 inches of a Bugman's Cart, gets a +1 modifier to its movement characteristic. So one, you really, one, it's actually got some decent. It's got impact hits D3, and it's actually got some decent attacks. Nothing great. 65 points is pretty cheap. In other words, it's toughness 5 and 3 wounds. You can actually send it in with D3 impact attacks and, 2 attacks normally. It's going to do, okay. But the big thing that you're getting out of this is you're getting your dwarves a movement of 4. And that 1 inch of movement is actually pretty good. It really is going to, again, just open up an opportunity for dwarves to be able to charge more. And I just love this. I think this Dwarf Cart, all you really need is maybe 1 in an army. And you're just going to be basically just running this thing around. It's got a move of 6.
You know, it's actually pretty for dwarves. It's pretty fast. They can actually, and you know, and it's actually a tough 5, 3 wounds. I actually wouldn't mind even sending this thing in and doing some damage here. So that's sort of the last part of the rest of the units. You know, the hammers, iron breakers. You can just look at the unit. But needless to say, I'm really looking forward to playing. You know, the dwarven, you know, the dwarven royal clan holds. I think that's going to be super cool. And I just want to make a short video about this. I'm going to be, I have one battle report coming out for my dwarves. And then the rest of the time, I'm going to be looking at trying to make a dwarven, a royal clan army. So thanks for watching. Would love to get some feedback. Let me know what you think about the rest of the book. I'm just focusing on the royal clan. And we'll talk about the rest of the book later. Thanks, everyone.